everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Big Knicker Energy Podcast. And I am excited, of course, because every time I'm excited to be here. But we have an amazing lady joining us today. Tash, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you
I'm so excited to have you here.
Excited to be here.
This is going to be so good. And I think this is something that so needs to be talked about, okay? And I'm not going to give too much of an introduction to this because I want you to kind of roll into this and tell us about your story. We want to hear it firsthand from you, like everything and anything that you want to share right now to how you've got to here today.
Yeah. Well, it's, it spanned over, I'm 39. So
You're not 39.
Yeah.
I want to look like you when I'm 39.
Love that.
Thank you. It started in 1986 when I was born.
Yeah, love that.
I started drinking. So let's start there.
Yeah.
Because I get invited on podcasts to speak through my Instagram, which is a sober Instagram. So I talk about my experience with addiction, with alcohol and drugs. And I'm 7 years clean and sober now.
Amazing. That's so
People
good.
say 7 years, people are like, oh, well done, you're still doing it. But it's a choice you have to make every single day, isn't it?
That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, absolutely.
So that's not just 7 years, that's 7 times 365. That's a lot of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to keep making it.
Addiction doesn't go anywhere. It's like, it gets easier every day. I'm not like shaking and, looking around for bottles that I've hidden and, manipulatively and sneakily thinking, where can I get the next drink from? But I'm only one drink away from that. I'm one decision away from being that person, living that life again. Going back, I started drinking at around the age of 13, and straight away from the start it was an utter shit show. It was I've never been able to drink like it's normal. I've never been able to just stick to one drink. I've always just lost my head with it and become a person that the core, the real me just doesn't recognise and doesn't like. And so the first time I got drunk, I got taken to hospital in an ambulance. I got my stomach pumped. And then I think it was maybe the second or the third time I got drunk, I ended up getting arrested.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And would you say this was just kind of like society? You was doing it because your friends were doing like what kind of made you want to reach out for that drink at 13?
Alcohol was always in my life. It was always present in my life. The way that I was brought up, I didn't see anything wrong with drinking every single day and drinking, from lunchtime. It was always just a part of life for me.
Yeah, normal.
It was always just normal. And then, so when I got into my teenage years and and my peers were drinking, there wasn't a part of me that thought I shouldn't do that. I wanted to be integrated into that. And part of that I didn't want to be.
Absolutely. And when, like you say, when it's around you, it's like that's normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then your friends are doing it, so it's like, well, that's normal for me to do.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's a time period. Like, I was born in 89, and I remember going to nightclubs at the age of 14. And my mum would drop me off.
We could easily get into things way younger as well.
In the
Like,
park, going around someone's house, it was what we did, wasn't it? But I suppose it's a neurological thing then as well, isn't it? If you can't just have that one drink or know, right, if I go home now, my mum's going to know that I've been drinking.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ballgame then, isn't it, for
Yeah.
you? So even though all your friends are doing it, it's not the same experience for you
No.
and your friends. Yeah.
I used to look at other people that used to drink all the way throughout my drinking career. That's all I was about. That's what I was best at. I was like top baller.
yeah.
And I used to look at other people and think, why aren't these things happening to them? Or how come they can handle their drink more than me? It wasn't that they could handle their drink more than me, they were just, I suppose, more sensible with it.
Yeah.
They weren't drinking as much as me. So I would, like, to one person's glass of wine, I'd be like 3/4 of a bottle the way through, and I'd be down in drinks, looking for the next one, ordering shots. I always wanted more. There was, nothing was ever enough for me. It was always to excess, always to the point where I was blacking out. The only time I would stop drinking is if I'd kind of ran out of money and couldn't afford any more, or if I literally blacked out and passed out and physically couldn't. Yeah.
Did you experience that with anything else in your life, like to the excess, where you had to keep going? Because like some people have it with food and
or spending money on clothes and things like that. They have that like excessive personality where you're like, I need to.
Or was it alcohol? Where you
no, that has been a theme all the way through my life, to be honest. I mean, even as a child and before I started drinking, I've got 2 younger brothers, and I always kind of knew that I wasn't the same. I wasn't, like, life didn't ever feel as easy for me as it was for other people, or as I perceived it to be. People always just kind of got life better than I did. Everything seemed, even as a child, like more of a struggle for me. Like with overthinking and catastrophizing and always anxious, and just finding like schoolwork, conforming, getting things done that seemed easy for everyone else. It always felt harder for me, and I really did fixate on. And this has been, even now, I'm 7.5 years sober from drugs and alcohol. Life has got so much better than I ever dreamed.
Love that.
But I will still get obsessed with like my favourite foods, my favourite hobby at the time, what I'm doing for work, things that I'm really passionate about, which can be a good thing. I could be very driven, but also if I get hyper-focused on one thing that I really like, everything else goes to shit. Oh my God, what's that?
We hear you. We're like, she's our kind of woman.
It's a shithole all of a sudden. It's like, because
Literally.
one project's doing so well.
Until you get bored and there's a shiny new object. We hear you.
Oh my God, the amount of like businesses that I've started and I've given my all to.
Love that.
And I'm like 6 months in and I'm like, that done.
That's bored now.
Like, jack of all trades.
Oh yeah.
But I think with alcohol then it's very different, isn't it? Because alcohol becomes predictable. You know what you're getting from it. You know where it is. It's easily accessible. So it's not like when you have a shiny new project now when you're older and you get bored after 6 months because you get the same buzz every time. It's like a dopamine hit almost, isn't it, with alcohol? So
that's and the shiny new project isn't ruining your life.
Well,
like alcohol was. I met someone the other day actually. I bumped into him in a coffee shop, and he's in recovery as well. And he was like that, I'm on 6 of these a day now. And he was like, but at least it's not ruining my life. Like, exactly. Enjoy your coffee.
Definitely. Absolutely. So from the age of 13 to 32, right? What happened? Like, so you're saying right from 32-ish onwards, like that's when you're in recovery. Can you tell us a bit about how this time was for you? And what was going on in your life? Was there anything particular that was, fueling it even more? Like, when did drugs become a thing for you?
Like I said, I am the eldest of 3 children. We all had the same upbringing, and we did have things that happened in our lives that you could look back at, and if I was to pick it all apart and think, how did it happen? How did I end up like this? Was it this person's fault? Was it this circumstance? I could think, well, parents split up at 12. Very shortly after that, Grandad died. That was very traumatic for us. A couple of years later, brother died. He was 15 months. And you think about all these things that I went through at a very young age, and then alcohol was around all of that at that time. It becomes like a coping mechanism. So I could look back at that and think, that was it, or that was it. But my two younger siblings went through exactly the same thing. One of them doesn't drink, not because they've got a drinking problem, but because it's nothing to him. It's like, you have to take it or leave it, whatever. And the other one, he is like what I would call a normal drinker. It's someone that I look at as like a unicorn. I'm like, oh, you're incredible. Like, look at you just nursing that drink. And then having a water in between.
And not having to think about it.
Doing it. Yeah, how can you just have like one drink and then get on with your life? So he's like a normal drinker. But we had exactly the same upbringing. So I can't say that it was anything that happened in my life. I think that's just me. That it's just, I think we're all wired differently. We all have different things. Some people get into gambling. Some people have a sex addiction. Some people, it's food, shopping for other people.
Absolutely.
For me, my thing is, and, for years I never wanted to accept it. But now it's just my thing, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, and I can't drink. And I can't do drugs, and for me that's a great thing that I've got to that point. So drinking started at 13. It was hell from the beginning, and I never ever thought to it. I was always like, why is it always me? Trouble follows me around. I think my dad actually said that about me. Trouble follows our Tasha around, and I'm like, it does, Nan. It's not me or my choices.
Love that. Love that. That's it. I think that's the key thing, though, isn't it? We do need to take responsibility for ourselves and our lives and what we're doing. And I think, like you say, I've got a lot of siblings. We're all very different, but yet had the same upbringing. And I think that is the key thing, to look at it and go, do you know what? Actually, I am in control. Talk us through that turning point, right? What was that turning point of like, I've got to change this?
It happens for me with a rock bottom, which I don't live with regrets. Because I think everything that happened, like as shit as it was,
absolutely,
got me to the point where I am now, it was meant to happen. And the worst things that have ever happened to me, and that usually have been down to my own decisions, my own hands, have been the catalyst for the best things that have ever happened to me. But that rock bottom was one of the worst points in my life, one of the most shameful. I lived every day around that time wishing that I was dead. And I'm a mum to two children, so the children were younger then, and the only thing that really was keeping me alive was them. I thought, I would never do anything to hurt those kids or leave those kids without a mum, but if I die, it'd be a good thing. That was the the mindset that I was in. I had absolutely no self-care, self-love, self-respect, self-worth, nothing. So that bled out into the rest of my life. When you're not looking after yourself and you've got no care for yourself, you can't do that for other people or anything else around you. So life was just going to utter hell, and every day felt like I was wading through tar. It felt like such a struggle just to lift my head up off the pillow. But every day I was still throwing alcohol on top of that, which is a depressant, which does heighten anxiety. And I couldn't see, or maybe I just didn't want to see at that time, that it was the alcohol and the drugs that I was taking that was making all of these life situations, because life can be hard.
Absolutely.
It's not bloody easy. You've got to work at it. To make it a good life and to make things better. And you've also got to use your thoughts, I think, for good. So have like your gratitude and see the good in things, because a lot of the stuff that happens to us is coming from the outside, isn't it? So
absolutely,
you can't control everything that happens. So you've got to have those good thoughts. And again, I didn't have a good mindset. It was, everything is terrible, everything is happening to me, I'll never get out of this, I'm unlovable, I'm not worth anything. And the only thing I thought that I had, I had the children, I had every possibility in life, everything now that I see is possible for me, was possible for me then, but I was telling myself, it's impossible. I'll never get sober. I'll never live a happy life. And so that's where I was at. I never thought to myself, while I was living like that, I need to stop drinking, get sober, and then I'll have a chance of things getting better. And then I hit rock bottom. I was drinking every day. I've 2 of the kids at home. The kids went everywhere with me. I thought, because I love my kids just as much as I do now, more than anything, would die for them. So I just thought, I'm a good mum. I'm a great mum. No one could tell me otherwise. But the kids, I was drinking to excess every single night. I would have 3 bottles of wine in the fridge, miniatures hidden around, just in case I ran out before I passed out. So I was passing out every single night. I would wake up. One night I woke up on the stairs, in the bathroom, the kitchen, in the living room, in bed with my son, not remembering how I got there or how I put the children to bed. I would take the children to houses with me, family members, friends, where I would drink to excess with my family, with my friends. The children are there, they're playing with their children, or like I said, they're in a family setting. So I'm thinking, the kids are fine, they're safe, we love them. They know exactly where they are, and they're with me, their mum. But when I'm passing out every single night, not remembering how I'm putting my children to bed, waking up with smashed glass on the floor where I've just passed out and my wine glass has smashed. I'm not locking the door at night. I woke up one night, the door was wide open. I woke up another night, I had a huge bread knife in my dressing gown.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking that I'm a good mum, a safe mum. You know, waking up the next day trying to get my son to school, I'm over the limit. I'm driving to school in a dressing gown, trying to get him to school, and then go on, out the door, so then I can get home and just lay down on the floor because I'm too tired to do anything else. My daughter was 2 when I got sober, so the woman I am now, thank God, is the woman that she always remembers.
Yeah.
She doesn't remember that side of me, but I can remember I used to hold her and carried her everywhere. I used to hold her on my hip and I'd have to run into the kitchen to be sick into the sink or into the bin while still holding her. And she'd cry because she was confused, didn't know what was happening to her mum. And so I hit the rock bottom through all of this lifestyle, hit rock bottom, which I believe for me was a power outside of me, greater than me, whether it was my higher self or something else that was like, you need to change. You're not doing it. We need to do something here, something drastic, which is going to snap you out of this. And I really think if I hadn't have taken that as the lesson that it was, that things would have got so bad that they, your lessons get worse and worse and worse until you don't get any more chances. And so it was a 3-day bender, drugs and alcohol, with the children with me, and I was with family members. So again, there wasn't a part of me that thought, this is not okay. And it was a Sunday, so it all started on the Friday. On the Sunday morning at about 5 a.m, the children are in bed and I'm downstairs with a couple of family members, and one of them said, we've been drinking, well, I've been drinking Prosecco this whole time and doing cocaine. And one of them said, does anyone want an ecstasy tablet at 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning after a 3-day bender? And I said, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
You've done 3 days of everything else. It's not going to make much of a difference.
And I still remember the time where I was, what I was wearing, my surroundings. I remember the lights, the dust particles moving in I remember everything. And I remember taking that ecstasy tablet and then going to bed few hours later, not because I was tired, but because I thought I was being sensible in that warped mind to say, I need to go to bed because my children will be getting up soon. I'm going to need to get some sleep. And I climbed into bed with my daughter, who was sleeping in the spare bed, and laid there. The sun was coming up. The sky was bright blue. It was a gorgeous, crisp winter's morning. The birds were singing, and that was always like my alarm clock then of, oh God, you know, people are getting up to make their morning coffee, kiss their kids good morning, go jogging, taking their dog out for a walk, and I've been up for 3 days. Just felt like absolute shit, like a shit person. You know, my body felt like it was failing because of everything. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My lungs were on fire. I couldn't actually breathe out of my nose for all the drugs that I'd been doing. My eyes felt like sandpaper had been rubbed over them. So tried to close my eyes. Couldn't go to sleep, of course, with all of that. And then my daughter woke up, and I got up with her and followed her around that house like a ghost behind her with nothing to give. And it's really weird because I was so numb at that time. It's like I felt absolutely nothing but every bad feeling that there ever was, like mixed into one. It's like there was nothing there. I think it was like a zombie walking around without a soul. I felt soulless. And it was like looking in the mirror, but there was nobody there. Like, yeah, the lights are on, but there's no one home. And I followed her around. And at one point I sat in the lounge of this house and realised she isn't here. I'd stopped following her around. And I got up and walked into the kitchen of the room where we had been doing drugs and drinking and smoking. And I saw her sitting down in that area just playing with some toys in her little pink pyjamas. And I just ran over to her and picked her up instinctively and looked in her face and looked in her hands. And I thought that chaos that we've just been in, the things that we've been doing, my child shouldn't be in that environment. And it just hit me there like a lightning bolt. I felt like I sobered up instantly. And it was just this realisation of this, I don't want this. This isn't the life that I want for me. This isn't the life that I want for you. And that was it.
But imagine if she'd walked into a different room, like that wasn't the room of the chaos. That moment never would have happened for you. I think you're right in saying like there's a higher power.
Yeah.
That, you know, that wasn't your decision to sit there and reflect and think like, what have I done? What's been going on? But to see that image, like you would never open a door to a room full of drugs and alcohol and say to your little girl, go on, in you go, sit in the middle of it. So to see the fact that not you, but the people you were with as well had created that environment that was in a house that your child felt safe in, and she thought it was totally normal to walk into that environment and just sit and play. Yeah. That must have felt, as a mum, horrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific. Did you ever get mum guilt as you were going through it, or did you feel like you kind of separated the two?
Oh,
until
massive
that
mum
moment?
guilt. Yeah, massive mum guilt. I think most of us do, even when we're not
Literally,
anything.
I get mum guilt all the time. And like you say, so many people, and like now, and you're probably still feeling it now, it's mental, isn't it? No matter how well you think, like, oh, I'm doing really well, you still get a guilt for something so small, isn't it? I think no matter what happens in life, we all get mum guilt, don't we? For everything. It's crazy. So thank you so much for sharing that, though, because I think it will resonate with a lot of people, and I think there's perhaps people out there that haven't got to that point yet, but could look at this and go, okay, there's something that, you know, maybe there is, maybe I am drinking a little bit more than I'd like to be, you know, and they can start taking those steps they want to take. So I think what would be really helpful, if you're happy to, is to kind of share that like empowerment journey of yours, because that's what it is. Like you've hit rock bottom, you've hit that moment, and now this is your empowerment journey, right? So from that moment, you've changed, and like now you're this incredible woman today who is, without even realizing, supporting so many other people, right, going through that. So if you're happy to share, like, how was that? Because I mean, I can imagine it was really tough.
Yeah, and it's really strange because, you know, when you're at the bottom, and where I was then, I would never have dreamed in a million years that anyone would have ever got any value out of anything that I'd have to say. And you just don't know where you're going, where you're going to get to. It's the complete unknown. You hold on to, or I held on to, you know, that life that I was living, which was no life, because I was scared of what was on the other side. What am I going to be without alcohol? You know, what will my life become? It couldn't have got any worse than what it was. I don't know what I was holding on to.
But that was your comfort zone, because you knew it. It was predictable. You knew exactly how it went.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And so I understand other people's, you know, resistance to it. It's exactly where I was, and especially because drugs and alcohol are normalised and glamorised. And very easy to hide behind.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't living a life that somebody would have looked in upon and thought, oh, I think she's got a major problem, as bad as it was. You know, we talk about drug addicts and alcoholics, and we think about somebody living on the street drinking.
Exactly.
Psychosis, or,
you
know, we really think of the absolute bottom, and that's not the case. You could just have a drink on the weekend. If it's affecting your life in a negative way, you can give up then. You don't need to wait to get to rock bottom. I wish I didn't have to, but that's...
So, like you say, I think it's so easy to spiral and to get to that point, and to think, oh, I wish I had done things differently. But like you say, there's no point in living in regrets, right? It's about going, okay, well, this is where I am, and what can I do with that and my journey and my story? And that's what you're doing now, right? Is empowering so many other people. So for like, what did that journey look like in terms of, were you going to support groups? Like how was that for you when you were going through that recovery?
Sorry, can I ask, what was the first thing you did? Like, how did you start that recovery process?
So I had the rock bottom, and because of that, it shook me to the core. To say it scared me, I mean, I couldn't sleep at night thinking what could have been, what could have happened. And so I'd lay in bed at night, and you know, when you have those, the thoughts come into you, and I'd shake like that, like twisting and turning to get this thought out of my mind, which just wouldn't go away. And I thought to myself, the only way this is going to get better is if I stay sober. If I know that something good is coming from not just that one bad thing, because there were so many bad times over the years of my drinking. I could have took many things as rock bottoms, but didn't. And even smaller things that like accumulated to such a shit life and a shit mindset, and just a rubbish way of living, not empowering at all. So it started, I'd say, with a mind shift. So going from, I'll never be able to get sober, that will never be me, it's impossible. And I changed those thoughts to, I will, I am. I'm going to get sober, I'm going to do it. And I looked forward, almost, without even realising it at the time, I was visualising. I was like manifesting. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but I was imagining my life in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, saying, I'm 20 years sober, imagining what it would feel like to be that person. So that's how it started. And then I was absolutely petrified of going to an AA meeting. I had every single thing about it scared me. Walking into it, talking to people, sitting down, saying I'm an addict. All I knew of the meetings was what I'd seen in films, and stuff like that. So I was petrified of that. So I reached out to a friend who works in the services, and she put me in contact with somebody who was a really lovely man who at the time had been sober for 19 years.
Wow.
And he rang me and spoke to me, was so kind, and said, would you like to come to a meeting with me? I'll take you along. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. There's no pressure or anything. So I went along to a meeting with him, and it was an NA meeting, so Narcotics Anonymous. And it was a really good experience because it's great to, as to be in a community.
Yeah, definitely.
So you just feel like you're not alone, and to listen to other people's stories that you can resonate with, and they're not always going to be the same, they're going to be completely different, but you're going to find pieces of their story that you're going to relate to. And that's it. For me, it just made me feel so much more at peace in so many ways, because it lessened like my stigma towards myself. You feel so alone when you're, for me it was addiction, but I think for any kind of mental health, if anything you're going through that you're not sharing with others, you isolate yourself and you feel so alone. So going to their meetings was great. I don't do them anymore, just because for me personally, I feel as though I don't need to, but there may be a time that I will go back. I know they're always there, and they are great for anybody who feels alone and is looking for support.
Would you say those meetings are for people though who have hit rock bottom, or do you think it's for people that think they might have a problem with it, or what kind of people go there? Anybody.
That's
really good.
There are people of all ages, men, women, different cultures, different sexualities, anybody can go, and you will find something to, we've all got that one thing in common. So you can relate to, you could be a 19-year-old girl listening to an 80-year-old man speak, and you'll be nodding, going,
I love that.
Because you'll be able to relate to what they're saying. And if you walk in and you just think, I might have a problem, I don't drink every day, but it is really affecting me in a negative way, I don't feel great about it, but I don't think that I've got that much of a problem. If you go to that meeting, you could listen to somebody who is at their rock bottom, and you won't sit there and think, I'm fine and I don't need to go. You'll sit there and you'll hear the similarities in your story, and hopefully realise that could be me. Because when I was drinking in the beginning, or even at points throughout my life, it wasn't always rock bottom drinking. And when I would think about rock bottom circumstances, or see somebody living a life that I did get to further on down the line, I never thought to myself, I'll get there, or that'll be me. But I did. you always think to yourself, oh, I'll never end up like that. I won't be a morning drinker. No. I won't pass out and forget how I've put the kids to bed. But you do. Yeah. It happens. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that the thing with that as well is, isn't it, so many people also look to the future and go, well, I can't have a life without drink. Do you know what I mean? And it's having that realization, isn't it? And I think what can be really tricky for anyone in like going through anything, like we say, is knowing that things can be different.
Yeah.
Right. And you can look and you can go, do you know what? My life can be different and it can be amazing. And it's having that trust in yourself, isn't it? To go like, I am determined and I will do whatever it takes because I know I can get there. And that can be really tricky.
Yeah.
So for you, obviously, you've been in this place and you've hit rock bottom, you've had no self-belief, no self-worth. And today sits this woman who feels so much more confident, right? And you can feel like your energy is like light and lifted and empowered. How different do you feel now?
I feel like a completely different person in the best possible way. You know, I'm still me. I've always been me, but we have like these, you know, different stages in our lives, don't we? And it is like a different person. It's like I look back at her with so much love and empathy. Like I just want to give her a cuddle and say to her, you know, everything's going to be okay. You're going to be all right, and you are all right. Like I have so much to, and it's what I give to myself now. Everything I needed then is what I give to myself now.
Nice.
And the me back then had no self-worth whatsoever. I didn't think I deserved anything. The narrator in my head every day was not just about the life that I was living, which I had created, nobody else had, that was me. It was everything, the way that I looked, the person I was. It was all negative, horrible, the worst anybody had ever spoke to me, and that was my own internal voice. It was like living with an abusive partner, but it was myself.
Do you know what? There'll be so many women that can resonate with that.
Literally.
I think
with so many different thoughts, isn't it? You know, like what we tell ourselves all the time can be awful.
Yeah.
But we also can change that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing, isn't it? To remind ourselves and go, do you know what? Like, I can change the way I'm speaking to myself. And I always say to my ladies, like, you have to be your number one fan, right?
Yeah.
No one lives as much as you're live with you as you do.
Yeah.
And it's so important to be your number one fan.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know whether you guys agree, but I feel like, not so much anymore, because I've got a 10-year-old daughter, it's probably due to the way that I've brought her up as well, but she's so confident.
Yeah.
So confident.
Yeah.
I've never, ever heard her say anything negative about herself. And, but when we were brought up, I feel like saying anything positive about yourself was deemed a really bad thing.
Yeah.
As well.
Arrogant, you were
Exactly.
cocky,
Yes.
overconfident,
Yeah.
too loud.
Loves herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big head.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Stuck
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
That was the narrative around that. So
Absolutely.
it was almost, it was like, it was more encouraged to, oh, no, I'm ugly.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
If someone says to you, I'm pretty, it's like, if you take the compliment, it's like, oh, you're so big-headed.
Yeah.
And it's like, whereas now it's like, take the compliment. You have to
Yes.
accept and be like, oh, thank you, that's really kind of you to say. And like, we're so, and do you know what? For me, I feel like a lot of that has been social media. I think we all grew up when social media started, right? And that wasn't a positive thing.
No.
There wasn't body confidence. There wasn't anything around that, right?
No.
And now, luckily, there is still a lot of negativity out there. However, there is this branch of people, for people to be able to listen to people like you talk about your journey, you know, like when they're sat at home, whereas they might not have had that before. That's really amazing now. But for us, I don't think it wasn't that much of a thing, and it was very negative when we were growing up.
We grew up thinking Bridget Jones was obese.
Yeah.
That
Kate Moss was what we needed to look like.
Yes,
Yeah.
because what was her motto? Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
Yes, that was it.
The
Yeah,
Special
so
K diet.
Yeah.
The special.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where you could only eat 2 bowls of Special K a day,
Oh,
and then you would fit into your jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the magazines as well?
Yeah.
The most beautiful women, and they
Yeah.
are picking them apart, and we're
Yeah.
buying it and reading it.
Exactly.
And having posters on our walls as well as a constant reminder of what we're not. Like, that person's famous because she's pretty and she's thin and her hip bones stick out, and you know, it was just.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't have social media, we still
exactly.
had all of
That's
that.
it. But
Yeah.
we were that generation where it came into play,
Yeah.
social media, and straight away it was
then it was
airbrushing.
on top of it.
Everything was
We had a
airbrushed.
double layer,
Exactly.
so-
it was like, oh well, that person doesn't have any stretch marks. You know what I mean? And I've got stretch marks. And I think that is the key thing. Like, this generation, like I say, even though there are some negative bits on social media, I also think we've got this real empowerment, like people really trying to push across so many different things and support so many different people in lots of different ways. And I think that is why, hopefully, our kids, and I think we have to take credit as mums and go, do you know what? Like, we are there empowering and want them to feel confident and want them to feel amazing. And I think you need to take that as a mum and go, do you know what? Actually, I've done a lot of that. Do you know what I mean? Because you have, from your change in your journey.
I think even when you're not a mum, like just as a role model in some child's life, whether that's like a friend, like me with your kids or whatever, you with Evan, or like kids that will come into the studio, is being that role model and being like, like every morning before we go to school, Evan goes, I'm kind, I'm clever, I'm strong. And he's only 4 and you just think, love that.
Exactly.
It's like my little mantra every morning. But I never had that.
No,
It was like,
it just wasn't, self-help wasn't really a thing, was it?
but I think you're right. And I think listening to your story, how horrible it was that you had to go through that, but amazing that you've gone through it, I think, is, for a lot of women, I think if you see the title, you know, I'm an addict, or I was an addict, or 7 years sober, they're like, I can't relate. But actually, listening to your story, I've never had an addiction problem, thank the Lord. Like, I don't have an addictive personality. I'm very lucky in that sense. But going from one life to a totally different life and making that change where you come out of your comfort zone, you don't have the same people around you anymore. Because I'm assuming, you know, the people that you were sat there at 5 o'clock in the morning that offered you the ecstasy tablet, you felt comfortable doing that. That's why it felt normal, because they were all doing it. To then have to come away from that, number one, must have sparked judgment, because they probably thought, well, are you judging me because I still do it? Number two, you lose a group then, really, don't you? Because you can't socialise in those circles anymore. So you're totally on your own. And I think whether it is alcohol addiction, whether you're leaving a relationship, whether you are, you know, struggling with food or eating or whatever it might be, I think everybody will get to that point at some point in their lives where they feel like they need to make a change. And if you don't, you're incredibly lucky. But listening to your story and seeing your success and how far much further you're going to go will be inspiring to a lot of women, I think. Whether they've picked up a wine glass in their life or not, I think it's seeing that you can hit rock bottom no matter what the circumstances. You can have to go through a difficult time period and you can thrive afterwards as well, but you can do it. Like, you're the one in control and you're the one changing it. I think that's just, thank you so much for sharing it for everybody.
So good. And I think one thing we didn't massively talk about, but for me in my personal journey was a huge thing, is the visualization. And I don't think people realize how actually putting yourself into that like headspace of, this is where I want to get to, and seeing that as you know, not as Kate Moss on the wall or whatever, and going, do you know what, that is, I'm visualizing and I'm feeling it. And I think bringing that feeling into it, doesn't it? It just makes you go, yeah, like that's how I want to be feeling every day. And I think that is key, like to go, do you know what, that is how I see my life. And I'm going to feel that, and I'm going to see that, and I'm going to visualize that every single day, because that is what gets you from, you know, spiraling and going back to things. It's just that this is how I see my life, and that is where I'm going to get to. And it's reminding yourself of that, isn't it? That you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when I was living in the life of addiction, I didn't realise, again, that I was like almost manifesting. We manifest all the time. That's all we do. It all starts with a thought, and then it turns into a feeling and an action. And so all the time that I was on loop, these negative thoughts, I'm not, you know, negative, all the time. I couldn't see, I wouldn't see anything out of this bubble of addiction that I had. It will never get any better. Constant. Of course, it's not going to get any better. Yeah. I'm not going to have any vision or any drive for a better future when my narrative of life is just, it's shit, and I'm shit. And the only thing that I've got going for me is this drink. But as soon as I changed those thoughts, my whole world changed.
Yeah.
And it just started with a shift in my thinking. Start from I can't to I can.
Yeah.
And then we just went from there.
Yeah.
And then instead of thinking, you know, I'm a piece of shit that is never going to amount to anything, why would anybody ever want to employ me, or, you know, I'll never be in a good relationship or anything like that, change my thoughts to, well, at least I'll give it a try. And then I started studying. I passed my qualifications to be a personal trainer, and then I started my own business. And then I was running that for 5 years, and then off the back of that I started other businesses, collaborations with other people. I've got the podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah, started recovery coaching, other people, men and women, of writing a book, and so many incredible opportunities. So many, everything that I have done in this 7 years is only possible because I got sober and changed my mind.
You opened up your mind, didn't you? Yeah, rather than closing it off and being like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. It's what you did want.
Yeah.
And now look at it. You've got things you didn't even know you wanted.
I know.
Which is incredible.
I know.
So if people want to follow you, what is your Instagram?
You should definitely stalk her, because one, she's beautiful, and two, it was really interesting. I got doom scrolling. I was very careful not to like things from like years ago.
Do it.
It's a good thing. It's follow someone's journey though, doesn't it? It's
that's
really
the
interesting.
Sorry, go on.
So you're on Instagram.
Yeah, at Sober Happy Tash.
Brilliant. People can go and follow you. We'll get you on the reels and stuff like that so people can see, like, because it's so, really empowering, and we're really grateful that you've come on and opened up and spoke about it. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.